Hi, I'm Matt Cooney, Principal Product Manager with Dell EMC's Education Services. So if you've been following our conversation about emerging technology, you tuned in recently and read our blog post series between me and Bill Schmarzo about emerging technology. Now, understandably, there are a lot of terms and keywords being bandied about these days, and it can be very confusing to understand what each of these technologies are, how they're evolving, and how they may in turn evolve one another. You hear terms like big data, data analytics, predictive analytics, AI, AR, VR, self-driving vehicles, IoT, IIoT, and you might think, where do I begin? How can I get a better understanding? So a good way to think about it is by a single function and how that might evolve through three phases. So what I've done is broken them down into three phases and what technologies might affect that phase and how those technologies might evolve into subsequent phases. So you can see here, we've got the chatbot phase, we've got the AR phase, and we've got the VR phase. Now the chatbot phase, think about Siri. Anyone who's familiar with Apple's Siri is familiar with the voice-activated virtual assistant. So that's voice recognition technology that essentially activates a large pool of data. Here at Dell EMC's Education Services, that's something we would refer to as a data lake. Now what that really is fundamentally that's voice recognition software. And there seems to be a little bit of confusion in popular understanding between machine learning and artificial intelligence. So what Siri is voice recognition software that's taking your input and analyzing a field of data, interpreting that data, and producing a response. That's machine learning. That's an analysis of trends. So what we call here at Dell EMC, big data. It's a scaling of data to an unprecedented level. So artificial intelligence is the next step. That's when Siri is making decisions independent of previous trends and thinking on its own. So there's a key distinction that you want to realize there. If you go beyond Siri into popular culture, what you might want to think about, if you've seen the movie Her, is the operating system Samantha. That is essentially a chatbot that is so intuitive and so powerful that the film's main character, Theodore, actually falls in love with Samantha. So that is how well, intuitively, Samantha understands the user. So what we've got there is machine learning, an analysis of big data, and eventually an evolution into artificial intelligence, and we'll circle back to that in a moment. So if we continue with the virtual assistant or the virtual concierge function, how that will evolve from chatbots into phase 2, augmented reality, is imagine a responsive environment. Now, in the previous phase, we had mentioned the movie Her. Think about the movie Minority Report, the Tom Cruise classic sci-fi movie. Now, if you haven't seen that, augmented reality manifests itself in two ways. Both a layer projected onto the environment around you, as well as a responsive environment, and I'll explain that. So you might have recognized in the summer of 2016, for example, herds of millennials charging all over with their phones out in front of them. Chances are they were probably participating in a phenomenon known as Pokemon Go. That's the Niantic application, a massive, essentially, online open game that participants use their phone to augment a layer onto the reality that surrounded them, and they would interact with that. That's not a new function. It's not a new capability. Basically, anyone who's participated in Snapchat fundamentally is doing the same thing. You know those, if you're familiar with Snapchat, chances are you probably know those ridiculous face filters like the puppy dog filter that no one can stand. But that's a layering of the environment that you see around you. In the movie Minority Report, Tom Cruise's character is an investigator. He's a policeman, and he's actually manipulating that environment. You can take it one step further. If you haven't seen Minority Report, but you've seen Iron Man, you know Tony Stark is down in his lab, and he's actually using this as an engineering function. He's reaching down into a virtual arm and manipulating it. That's basically augmented reality. You're able to layer a visual onto the environment that you see around you. Now, when I had mentioned responsive environment, there's a scene in Minority Report when the Tom Cruise character enters into a mall, and all of the advertisements that surround him in the mall change. They all adapt visually and the audio message that each of those visuals carry in response to him. In this case, it's triggered by a retinal scan. But so those are the two types of augmented reality. Now, if you think about that in terms of a chatbot, that's a function that you could argue is embedded within the advertisements that surround him. You're moving from point A to point B. Your virtual concierge knows where you are and suggests, perhaps through your device, perhaps through an earpiece, or perhaps through a screen of some kind that you might wear on your face. An example is the Microsoft HoloLens. The environment will provide messaging to you based on what your locations are, or perhaps based on a big data analysis of your behavior patterns, that you're in the mood for a coffee right at that moment in time, and that there's one nearby. So the virtual concierge will evolve ultimately into its ultimate iteration in the virtual phase, which you can see here. So the virtual phase is really, that's an environment that we're immersing ourselves into. So whereas the augmented reality environment is one where we're layering technology onto the existing environment, the virtual environment is one we're actually immersing ourselves in. So there are examples of this in popular culture. In the VR community, what's lovingly referred to as the Bible is the fiction novel Ready Player One. And in that, virtual reality has become commonplace. And as far as social utility is concerned, virtual reality became commonplace when the school, the function of school in society, went into the virtual realm. What was offered there was preferable to the physical environment. So what that meant is there's crumbling infrastructure, there's overcrowded classrooms, there's overworked teachers, students are disengaged, there's bullying, there's a variety of reasons to prefer the technological improvements that exist within the virtual realm. So that's what triggered it in Ready Player One. Most people became trained then to spend most of their time in a virtual environment, and that's where people went when that virtual world became preferable to the physical one. And that's key. Imagine that virtual concierge function that's gone through the chatbot phase, through the augmented reality phase, into the virtual phase. That's the real power and perhaps the real threat of the virtual environment. If the virtual concierge is someone that you can design, then imagine an environment, a physical environment within the virtual realm that's custom tailored to your specifications and an audience that you're interacting with, that you have built. All of their characteristics, it's taken all of the data that you've put into this environment, and it's acting independently on its own. It's the virtual manifestation of the character of Samantha from Her. You can be anywhere, you can be with anyone. And that's the real promise and perhaps the real threat of virtual technology. So we've got augmented reality, we've got virtual reality, we've got chatbot technology, and you'll see how the virtual concierge function that exists today will evolve from its current iteration as a relatively crude chatbot through AR to its ultimate manifestation in VR. So thank you very much for tuning in to our blog post series, to either the webinar, to the podcast, or if you've read any of the blogs between Bill Schmarzo and myself. Thank you very much, and please stay tuned, enjoy the conversation, and remember, we would love to hear from you. Thank you.